The Biden administration is quietly continuing efforts to resettle migrants across the U.S. by flying plane loads of young migrants into suburban New York City. Charter flights from Texas to New York and other parts of the country have been shuttling migrants to new homes since August.
An ADOS dude, there was an ADOS dude named Bill something, Bill the Icon.
Bring up all the dirty laundry.
So I'm tapping back in on the issue that I discussed in my previous video, and that is the migrant busloads that are being shipped into New York City and Washington, D.C. In this particular video, I wanted to focus on Eric Adams. He went live at a press conference this morning, again expressing his concern over the busloads arriving in New York City. And I think it's just a good example of rules for thee and not for me. It was all good when these migrant busloads were being shipped to points and destinations throughout the country, and not much was being said by these liberal Democratic mayors. But again, now when the problem presents itself at their doorstep, their attitude takes a complete 180-degree turn. So here's Eric Adams' latest statement regarding the migrant busloads arriving in New York City.
This is horrific when you think about what the governor is doing, the governor of Texas, after a month of traveling across the border, placing on the bus with no direction to come here to New York. And New York is a city that has always represented the democratic values and the values of our city, of showing our compassion. And that's what we're doing today. The Commissioner Castro was able to put a table for this transition location. Many families that want to stay here, we're going to ensure that they can get the proper shelter. But we're finding that some of the families are on the bus that wanted to go to other locations, and they were not allowed to do so. They were forced on the bus with the understanding that they were going to other locations that they wanted to go to, and when they tried to explain, they were not allowed to do so. So our goal is to immediately find out each family's need and give them the assistance that they want. Some families have relatives in other cities. We want to be supportive of making sure that they're able to receive that. But it's also important that we coordinate our effort. This amazing union here, the taxi union, is here to assist to transport families to shelter location. It's unimaginable that what the governor of Texas has done. When you think about this country, a country that has always been open to those who were fleeing persecution and other intolerable conditions, we've always welcomed that. And this governor is not doing that in Texas, but we are going to set the right message, the right tone of being here for these families.
So Mayor Adams pretty much ups the ante on the excuse that one of the excuses that Mayor Muriel Bowser gave for the busloads being sent to Washington, D.C. She said that the migrants were tricked onto the buses. And in this instance, Eric Adams is stating that they were forced onto the buses. Interesting use of words, Mr. Adams. You know, but even more interesting than the fact that they're basically describing these transports as kidnappings. They're not paying attention to any of the what do you call it, human trafficking that's going on down at the border, especially in light of the open border policy of the Biden administration. And what's also interesting is that the migrants get to break the law, cross our borders, receive open arm welcome from the Border Patrol, as you saw in the last video of the migrants thanking Joe Biden, saying that they were met at the border by U.S. Border Patrol, and they were processed and moved around from that point. But it seems as if, the red carpet is being rolled out. We've known for over a year now that these migrants were being transported to destinations throughout the country, given room and board. There was $80+ million set aside for hotels throughout the country. And one more interesting point, I want to show a clip here because I don't remember Mayor Adams complaining when Joe Biden was sending migrant children or underage children into New York City under cover of night not long ago. Eric Adams had nothing to say about that. Take a look at this clip right here.
The Biden administration is quietly continuing efforts to resettle migrants across the U.S. by flying plane loads of young migrants into suburban New York City. Charter flights from Texas to New York and other parts of the country have been shuttling migrants to new homes since August, according to a report by the New York Post. Roughly 2,000 migrants apprehended at the U.S.-Mexico border have been brought to one airport near White Plains, New York, in just the past 2 months. Resettlement flights have also been spotted landing in Florida. The flights come amid the Biden administration's months-long struggle to get the situation at the southern border under control. Encounters with undocumented immigrants at the border hit a 21-year high over the summer. Border Patrol officials encountered nearly 200,000 people along the southern border in the month of July alone. Biden administration officials have defended their immigration policies by claiming they are removing most undocumented immigrants who arrive through Mexico, and by saying publicly that the border is closed. But thousands of migrants have been let into the U.S. with a notice to appear in court at a much later date, as the Biden administration works to resettle them in communities across the country. Sarah Westwood for the Washington Examiner.
Horrific, crises, humanitarian crisis. I mean, these are words that are being used to describe just a few busloads of migrants being shipped into Washington, D.C. and New York City. And I've not heard this type of language being used by any of these individuals or expressing any type of concern about these same busloads being shipped, for one, to destinations throughout the United States, given room and board in hotels and motels to the tune of 80 million. And I think did I do a story? I did do a story about some of the waste that was associated with those set-asides, that money being set aside. I'm sure some of that money went into some people's pockets. Some of these organizations that were set up overnight to facilitate these transports and these hotel and motel stays. But I'll post a link to that video. But again, no concern being expressed about the hordes of migrants illegally trespassing our borders, breaking our laws. And it seems as if once they get here, again, the red carpet is being rolled out. Not only are they getting room, board, one-way bus tickets, plane tickets, and the like, they're pretty much getting to call out their destinations. It seems, if you want to take Mayor Eric Adams at his word, or at least in his case, he's going to use New York City taxpayer money to send these migrants back across the country or to whatever destination they choose, I suspect. So I can't call it, guys. I'm going to leave this right here. Hop down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Maybe now that these liberal politicians are beginning to see that there is a problem with these open borders, with migrants descend upon locales, cities, towns in massive numbers, the strain that it puts upon the infrastructure of that city, the discomfort that it may cause current residents, legal residents, of these locale cities and towns. I mean, these politicians are not thinking about everyday people. They're not thinking about the people on Main Street, the people that get up, go to work, and try to provide for their families. Millions of dollars in wasteful spending, border laws being broken, basically a complete sense of lawlessness enveloping the country, if you ask me. And to me, you know, we take our cues from the top. And if at the top it seems like the rules are not applying, downstream, most people are going to follow suit, especially people who are in compromised situations for whatever reason. People will begin to justify, whatever means they feel they need to take, to make it by. So again, hop down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Smash like on this video. Subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you be up to speed when I drop new content. This your man online, Bill Money. And remember, what doesn't come out in the wash will always come out in the rinse.
Huh?